You're listening to Finding Your Future in Food Systems.
Good evening. Good evening. So, welcome to NAPSN. I'm Natalie Cruz, one of the co-directors of NAPSN. I am also a writer, educator, and food systems professional who specializes in decolonized food work. I'm joining you this evening from New York City. The North American Food Systems Network is a professional association of people working to strengthen local and regional food systems. We encourage you to join NAPSN if you value a diverse, well-informed, place-based workforce at the helm of this critical change work. We also want to acknowledge this. Many of the organizations and agencies that do the work of strengthening their local food systems, including farmers, are currently under political duress. Funding cuts to sustainable agriculture and food access programs threaten our profession and America's overall food security. It is with determination that we continue to host this series so that more and more people understand how essential these roles are to the vitality of local economies, the health of communities, and the responsible care of Earth's natural resources. Now, I'd like to introduce you to the hosts of this episode, Jeffrey Shu, and to our visiting co-host, Tin Cho A. Hi, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Natalie. And thank you all for joining us for the third episode of the ninth season of Finding Your Future in Food Systems. For those of you tuning in for the first time, this series is produced and hosted by students to help emerging professionals and others navigate the wide range of quickly evolving career opportunities in community food systems work. My name is Jeffrey, and I am a third year food science and global development student here at Cornell University and a student staff member for NAFSN. Season 9 will also be co-hosted by members of the Cornell University chapter of Minorities in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Related Sciences, also otherwise known as Manners. We are joined today by Manners member Tin Cho A.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Hi, guys. My name is Tin, and I'm a sophomore transfer. I'm an environment and sustainability major and a plant science minor at Cal School. I am an e-board member of a Hortus Forum, a undergraduate horticulture club, and I also work at the Boyce Thompson Institute, assisting the Nelson Lab with their research. And I'm so excited to co-host with Jeffrey. Um, it is great to be here with Kim, Natalie, our speakers, and everyone in attendance. It is also very encouraging that more than 170 people have registered for this event today. This webinar is going to be recorded and will be shared with the registrants later this week by email.
Before we get started, we'd like to sincerely thank this season's series sponsor, FarmWise, an innovative statewide value chain development initiative at Indiana University. We'd also like to acknowledge and appreciate our full year sponsors, Grapevine Local Food Marketing, Roots of Change, Cliff Family Foundation, and Harrisdale Homestead.
It is great to see so many people in the attendance, and we encourage you to keep your video on if you choose. For our speakers, to have a better understanding of who is present with us today, please add to the chat your name, your location, and the area of interest in food systems work. If you're currently affiliated with the food system organization, institution, or agency, please add that as well. NAFSM is also about professional networking, so please take advantage of this opportunity to meet and connect with others through the chat today. Throughout this webinar, we'd like to ask you to write your questions of our guest speakers in the chat. Jeffrey will curate these questions for you during the Q&A with each speaker.
NAFSN is headquartered in Ithaca, New York, which is located on the traditional homelands of the Gaekono of the Cayuga Nation. Today, we will have three guest speakers with us. First, we will kick off our conversations with Gabriela Soriano from the University of Puerto Rico's Agricultural Extension Service. We will continue our conversation with Joe Childs from the Crawford Stewardship Project and wrap up our conversation with Sasha Palmer of Public Schools of Brookline Food Services. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and we are so excited to get started. And lastly, please remember to put any questions that you may have for our guest speakers in the chat, and I will curate them for you after each speaker presents.
Gabriela Soriano began her Bachelor of Agriculture and Animal Science in 2015 at the University of Puerto Rico, Manquez campus. However, she completed her bachelor's degree in agribusiness in December 2021. During these years of study, Gabriela worked at a dairy farm of the Agricultural Experiment Station in Lajes, Puerto Rico, and at Puerto Rico Beef Producers Cooperative. She also conducted a research on Puerto Rican Holstein cows alongside Dr. Hector Sanchez Rodriguez. As an undergraduate student, and presented a research poster at the American Dairy Science Association conference in Knoxville, Tennessee. In the summer of 2021, Gabriela completed her internship at ST Genetics at Ohio Heifer Center. After graduating, she worked for a nonprofit organization as an agriculture instructor and a business project coordinator, then served as an agriculture teacher for Puerto Rico Department of Education. Currently, Gabriela is the Agricultural Extension Agent for the Agricultural Extension Service in Utuado. Sorry. Without further ado, please take it away, Gabriela.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Here in Puerto Rico is good night because it's 7 o'clock. But my name is Gabriela Soriano Varela. I'm 28 years old and I'm the agricultural extension agent for the beautiful town of Utuado, Puerto Rico. I would like to begin by sharing that although my grandparents once worked on the land, I did not grow up in a family directly involved in agriculture. However, I decided to pursue a degree in this field during my senior year of high school after attending an open house at the university from which I later graduated. And right now I'm working there. So I began, like Tin said, my Bachelor of Agriculture in Animal Science in 2015, and then life happened. So I decided to seek more opportunities in a bachelor's degree in agribusiness, which I completed in December of 2021. During these years of study, I worked 4.5 years at the dairy farm, my college dairy farm, and conducted research on the Puerto Rican Holstein cow alongside Dr. Hector Sanchez Rodriguez. The Puerto Rican Holstein cow is the cow that has the sleek gene, and they have like a short hair and everything. It's kind of a thing right now, but in Puerto Rico we have it like 70 years ago. As an undergraduate student, I presented a research poster at the American Dairy Science Association in Knoxville, Tennessee, and the theme was about these Puerto Rican Holstein cows. And I also had the opportunity to present the results of my research on the incidence rate of twin parity in Holstein cows during the Sigma P poster day at the University of Puerto Rico at Maya West, or UPRM. I had the honor of receiving the Indulac Puerto Rico, or the Puerto Rico Dairy Industry Scholarship in 2017, before Hurricane Maria struck the island. And this recognition was not only an academic achievement, but also a motivation to continue growing professionally in the field of agriculture. In summer of 2021, I completed an internship at the ST Genetic Ohio Heifer Center. I worked with vets. I worked with maternity, like the maternity area. And that was like the one of the best experience that I had as an undergraduate student. As a fun fact, and if you saw the photo, I was beside a cow. That's because I love cows, and I last year I participated in the dairy cattle exhibition held in April of 2024, where I won the first place in the adult dairy cattle handling skills category and earned two second places award in the Jersey breed category. For these achievements, I was recognized by the House of Representatives of here in Puerto Rico. Well, after graduating, yes, I work for a nonprofit organization as an agricultural instructor and a business project coordinator, where I educated the youth about the importance of agriculture here in the island, and also the entrepreneur, but to extend to expand, their business by giving them workshops of business development and technology. Then I serve as an agriculture teacher for the Puerto Rico Department of Education, where I teach STEM in agriculture. And currently, I'm happy to say that I'm the agricultural extension agent for the Agricultural Extension Service in Utuado, which, according to the latest agricultural census, the region of Utuado, that includes the towns of Utuado, Adjunta, Ciales, and Jayuya, has 1,533 farms. But what is the mission of my work and what do I do in Utuado? Well, the Agriculture Extension Service is affiliated with the University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez. So we have the University of Puerto Rico, but our land grant college is the University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez in the west of the island. The Agriculture Extension Service, we have 4 regions, 38 offices around the island, and our mission is to improve the quality of life of individuals and families who live in socioeconomic vulnerability. We achieve this through non-formal education based on scientific research, always focusing on the aspirations and needs of the families and communities we serve. The 4 areas that we impact are agriculture, marketing, and natural resource, family and consumer sciences, youth and 4-H clubs, and community resource development. In agriculture, marketing, and natural resources, we focus on transferring technology development by the experimental agriculture extension and other specialists that we have to the agricultural sectors, farmers, organizations, everything that has to do with agriculture here in the island. For the family and consumer sciences, we focus on families and consumers, strengthening knowledge and skills related to nutrition, food security, family budgeting, food handling, and healthy lifestyles. The goal is to empower families to improve their quality of life and make responsible consumption choices. The youth and 4-H clubs. So we work with the youth, like roughly ages from 5 to 19, to develop life skills, leadership, science, technology, agriculture, environment, and entrepreneurship. Through clubs, workshops, projects, and extracurricular activities, the aim is to cultivate scientific agricultural interest and community engagement in the youth. And finally, the community resource development. In this area, we promote self-management and empowerment of communities, and I will tell you more later. But remember that at the beginning of this part, I asked you, like, what do I do in Utuado? Well, as part of my work, I support farmers and communities. By working with the farmers, I provide technical assistance in areas such as marketing, farm development, planning, integrated pest management, biosecurity, good agricultural practice, and value-added production, among others. To deliver this information, I organize and participate in a variety of activities such as farm visits, exhibition, field days, and short courses. These educational experiences allow farmers to learn practical and research-based techniques that improve their productivity and sustainability. In the other hand, my work with the community resource development aims to promote self-management and empowerment within our communities through education, research, and evaluation. Currently, I'm working with volunteer leaders who offer occupational courses at our office. These leaders are an essential part of our mission, helping to expand the reach and impact of our programs across the community. Also, I'm working with farmers who want to come together to develop a specialty coffee association because in Utuado, the predominant crop is coffee, and also establish a community's farmers market because right now in Utuado, we don't have one. So that's our project right now. In essence, my role at the Agriculture Extension Service allows me to combine science, education, and community engagement to build a stronger, more sustainable agricultural sector and a more resilient communities in my country, mi isla, Puerto Rico. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Gabriela.
Yes.
I have a couple questions over
Yes.
here. And I guess to start off, for people who are interested in entering into agriculture as farmers or entering into your field as an extension agent, what is like a piece of advice that you wish that you would like to share with them before they dive headfirst into the profession?
Never say no. Every opportunity that comes to you, take it. Join every club, every organization, meet people, do networking, because that allows you to open more doors and let your if you have like this I don't, sorry, I'm trying to seek the words, but if you have this dream, like I wanted to connect more people, like my dream right now in Utuado, and I think I told him once, is to do some networking between my farmers. So if you have any dream, just don't say no, take every opportunity and go for it. Yeah, especially in agriculture.
And sort of going along the lines of professional development and skills development, what skills or skill sets have you sort of developed during your time as an extension agent that you think that would be very helpful of others who want to enter into the field, had a good grasp on?
Okay, so communication and learn to, oh my God, oír, okay, yes, to communicate, but also to hear the ideas of other people. I told tell my farmers, I know I'm the professor, I'm the I have to do the thing and everything, but I also like to involve them in every idea that I have. So communication is a very, very important skill that you have to have. And also, manejo de conflicto, management, because I work with people every day and a lot of things comes. So you have to have the tools to see how you can communicate and bring assist to the conflicts if there are any. Yeah.
And then the last question that I think we'll have time for is you had talked about how you sort of have two roles, one in working with the farmers and the other in sort of community development and working with the communities. And you had mentioned that you were working on getting like community farmers markets up and established and up and running. What other ways do you integrate those two roles or two communities that you serve into your everyday work?
So actually, I had a conversation with one of my colleagues like 2 months ago, and I thought at some point that I had to do or to work with these two groups apart. And then she told me, because she know the two projects that I'm working on, and she told me, maybe if you put they put the markets, the community markets to work, you can, I don't like to use the word use, but integrate in and like put to work these people that are the community leaders right now that are bringing the courses in our office, to see if they can join and maybe help in the process of sell the products, or maybe get together a promotion. So that's that's something that I didn't thought about it, because communities, we usually see communities and farmers like there's two things apart, but at some point, yes, they can work together. And thanks to the conversation that I had with my colleague, I was like, perfect, because then if I we establish the market, then we will have people that can do, and not only do the promotion or help to sell the products or everything, but they can also bring the things that they do at this at their courses, because they do kneading and they do soaps and a lot of things that I think they can get get really good in the market. It can be integrated. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and
Thank
for
you.
sharing your
Yeah.
expertise today. I'm so sorry that
No.
we always have a lot more questions than we have time for. There are a couple more from Rachel and Aisha, or Aisha, sorry, in the chat. So if you could circle back to those, if you have a moment, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much, Gabriela.
Thank you.
And I will turn it back now to Tin, who will introduce our next speaker, Joe.
Okay, so our second speaker is Joe Childs. He grew up on a dairy farm in rural Ferryville, and he's also raised beef cattle, pig, chickens, and sheep throughout his life. After graduating from North Crawford High School, he attended a university at Wisconsin La Crosse, receiving a bachelor's degree in business management with an emphasis in contract law and negotiation. Returning to Crawford County after graduation, Joseph spent a few years working in construction, retail management, and business to business sales before deciding to launch his own custom grazing business in 2020. Joining the Crawford Stewardship Project in 2022, Joe has continually expressed interest and passion in local farming, community, and rural quality of life. As a lifelong resident of the Crawford County, Joe looks to partner with business owners, farmers, and neighbors to help preserve and enjoy the beautiful land, water, and community of Crawford County. I'll turn it over to you now.
All right, just making sure everyone can hear me. Yeah, my name's Joseph Childs. I work with the Crawford Stewardship Project here in rural Crawford County, Wisconsin. Is in the southwest corner of the state. If you're familiar with the term driftless area, we are quite different from the rest of our state and most of the rest of the Midwest, as we've got tons of hills and valleys and springs and streams and all sorts of fresh water. So we're really blessed here, and that has really made me appreciate what we have here and kind of led me to the work that I'm doing. And just a little bit more about Crawford Stewardship Project. I am the Working Lands Program Coordinator at Crawford Stewardship. And what that means is I deal with a lot of agricultural stuff through, grazing education and promotion and sustainable agriculture education and promotion, as well as local control. So when we talk about working lands, we're not just talking about farming it. We're also talking about having some common sense rules in place for regulations and how we use that land. Just because it is a temporary use by us, it is going to be used by our kids, our neighbors, our grandkids. So we want to make sure that we're using it in a way that isn't going to degrade it for the rest of our neighbors to use eventually. So a little bit about Crawford Stewardship Project. They've been around for right around 20 years. Like I said, I just joined in October of 2022, so I just celebrated a 3-year anniversary with the organization. They first formed around a CAFO, and I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with what a CAFO is. It's a confined animal feeding operation. So essentially a large scale farm with a lot of animals and smaller, more confined areas. You often see this in the dairy industry, the pig industry, and the chicken industry, or poultry, chickens and turkeys. Somewhat uncommon in the beef industry, though it is moving towards that. So this organization was formed around kind of pushing back on one of those operations coming into our county, just because we have such delicate landscape here, and we have this beautiful freshwater streams and rivers, and it's really picturesque and just doesn't really lend itself to large scale farming like that. So some concerned citizens got together and started to work on making rules so that these operations, if they are going to operate here, they're going to be operating in a way that is not detrimental to the others around them. Um, Admittedly, when I joined Crawford Stewardship Project in 2022, there was a stigma surrounding the organization because they were kind of fighting back against large farms. It was seen as more of like an anti-organization, and that was one thing that I addressed right away when I was employed here, was that I wanted to highlight the sustainable agriculture and promote the stuff that we want to see versus always fighting against what we don't want to see. And I see both sides of the coin as a very important thing. You need to be pushing back. You need to have the folks that are willing to stick their neck out and say, no, we don't want this, but we also need to champion and celebrate and educate folks about the a good way to do farming. You need to be able to say, we don't want this because we do want this over here. And that was, I think, one of my bigger contributions to the organization when I first started. And so a little bit more about what I do. I tend to focus more on the grazing education and promotion side. Lately, I've been doing a little bit more on the local control and kind of regulation side, but we have a pasture walk group that is under our umbrella called the Great River Grazers, and we hosted 12 pasture walks this year where we get farmers to open up their farm to folks to come onto their property, and they have an issue that they're looking to solve or a problem that they want to have some advice on. And so we were able to gather, over the course of a summer, well over 100 farmers that come to 12 different farms and get to network and see that there are other people out there farming in the way that they are and maybe get some advice. And that's one of the most rewarding things about my job, is going to these pasture walks. Like I said earlier, the other part of my job is local control, and I work a lot with local government officials on educating them on, grazing and promotion, and maybe some ways that we can further support that through either grants or just hosting events. And then we also do some of the more controversial stuff that is, showing up to public hearings and speaking out against things that we don't want to see here. And while that's not the fun part of my job, that is a very important part, that we are constantly reminding our local officials that, this is something worth protecting, and we want to make sure that we can use this for generations to come. I'll go a little bit over my interest in how I got to Crawford Stewardship Project. My bio said, I went to college. I got a business management degree. I landed the perfect job for my degree. I was a store manager for a very large retail store, and I made great money. I had great benefits, but I just didn't have the fulfillment that I was looking for in that job. So after a year, decided to get out of that, went to business sales, decided that I kind of don't like having a boss, and started my own business in grazing. And I did grow up on a grazing farm, about 60 head of dairy cattle on a small farm, and we grazed them every day. We turn them out, they eat grass, we brought them back, we milked them. It was kind of the picturesque what you think of when you think of a small family farm. So after I started my grazing business, I started to pay a little bit more attention to farm policies and what was going on in the kind of regulation and legislation landscape. And that led me to reading up on CSP and what they were doing in fighting the newest CAFO application in my county. And that was something that really sparked my interest. It seemed like a pretty common sense thing to do, and it ended up passing. So that is what really sparked me to get into working with Crawford Stewardship Project. Was I saw something happened in my local community that I didn't like, and I decided to join those that were fighting for the stuff that I did like. And I do, I guess my vision for my county or my local area would be that small farms such as the one that I grew up on could thrive and sell their meat or sell their dairy or their eggs to local businesses that could process those into value added products such as cheese and food and local beef or local pork, and that food would be consumed locally by restaurants and commuters and travelers and schools, and that is something that I'll continue to fight for, and I get to do it for a organization that is more than happy to allow me to both run my own business, work from home, and also support me in some of the kind of crazy ideas that I have as a programs coordinator. And I think I'm just about at time here, so if we have questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Joe. Earlier in when you were giving your introduction and also a background on the work that you do at Crawford Stewardship Project, you had mentioned that you were a big proponent of building relationships and also facilitating conversations between like what we need to push back on versus what maybe should be accepted or should be integrated into everyday life in local food systems. So how did you approach these conversations, particularly when like very powerful actors or differing motivations were present? And were there any skills that you found to be beneficial in helping to facilitate these conversations?
The conversations, I might be a kind of a weird specimen. I enjoy those awkward conversations. I enjoy putting myself and others into those conversations because those conversations are often the most productive, is when you feel like this is, I don't know if I want to talk to them about this. Those conversations I feel very comfortable in myself, and I think people don't realize how fulfilling it can be to like sit down with someone that you think you disagree with and then realize like, oh, we have the same motives. We have just came to a different we've come to different ways to achieve these motives. So everyone wants to live a happy, healthy life, and for their family to be safe and thrive, and that is a universal thing. And once you realize that, and then you accept the fact that you've just taken different paths to that end, then you can sit down and talk with anybody. And I saw, I can't remember what I was doing the other day, but there was a quote from Abraham Lincoln that says he just got done sitting down and talking with somebody that he really vehemently disagreed with, and he got out and answered a question. He said, "Yeah, I really don't like that guy. I'm gonna have to get to know him." And so that's just how I kind of approach it.
Thank you. The second question I have is just for folks who live in an area without organizations dedicated towards specifically towards conservation, particularly those who live in very agricultural areas, but they want to get involved. What is your advice to them? How can they what can they do to support efforts like CSP, even if there is not a local organization like CSP?
So if I'm glad that you said locally, because I truly think if you open your mind up to everything that is going on right now, on the even just at my state level, much less the national level in the United States, and God forbid the global level, you can spin out and not like, where do you start? How am I supposed to change all these things? I'm just one person. So I would say focus very locally. Focus in your township or your closest lowest level of local government, and just attend a meeting, ask some questions, thank them for the things that they have done right, and start to build those relationships. But don't try to change everything all at once, because you'll end up changing nothing and being super frustrated. Pick something that is the easiest to change and change that. Gain some momentum, gain some notoriety in the field, and once you start doing that, people will seek you out. Um, for example, I just got an email one day asking if I wanted to be on this presentation and share with hundreds of other people, and I didn't know this existed. Like people, we organizers, everyone in this call, we find each other. So just start making some noise, and people will come to your aid for sure.
All right, and I think I have time for one more question. So I know you had just found yourself in the work that you do, and you have just finished your third year of tenure. But where do you see yourself, or how do you see the foodscape in your region changing within the next 5, 10, or even the next year?
I can answer this two ways. I can answer it in the if everything goes right way, and then the maybe more probable way. If everything goes right, I'm hoping that my custom grazing business really takes off, and I can use that to show younger folks that there are ways to enter the agricultural industry and be successful and make good money, not just farm because it's fun, but farm because it's a good living. And then that takes off and more people copycat what I'm doing, and we hopefully return to a small family farm community. That's best case scenario for me. More probable scenario I would say is that I'm hoping that the local food scene that is kind of thriving, or a fledgling local food scene, and people are starting to realize that I can pay a little bit more for my food from the local butcher shop, and I can go to places that are serving local food, and people start to really connect with their food more than just finding the cheapest per pound on the big box store shelf, and hopefully moving it a little bit more towards it's a treat to get to eat really nice meat from local places, and I should pay for that treat, or stuff like that. And seeing we do have a kind of a cool grant program of farm to school, and I'd like to see that taking off. So there's schools that are actually putting dollars into the farming community by buying local produce and sometimes local meat as well. And I hope that people see that as a value and continue to support that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and that's a perfect segue to our third, but certainly not least speaker, which I will turn over to Tin to introduce.
Yeah. Sasha Palmer. She is a dedicated school food service director in the states of Massachusetts, an advocate and a former teacher passionate about ensuring every child has access to a healthy, delicious meal. With a background in education and community advocacy, Sasha blends practical expertise with a heart for equity, championing universal free meals and pioneering healthy, innovative, diverse menu options in her district, demonstrating her commitment to social responsibility and sustainable development. With every project and initiative undertaken, Sasha remains dedicated to making a lasting difference, one that echoes beyond school food success and into lives of those in the communities at large. I will turn it over to Sasha now.
Thank you so much. It's so heartwarming to hear all of that. And I just want to say, as somebody who grew up in a country with a lot of farming, I didn't have or spend much time on a farm until I started in school food. So I'm excited to see those people who are putting in the hard work, and I'm happy to be consumers. All right, so I'm going to share my screen because I want to also share um, all right. So I my path into food services wasn't linear. As you've heard, I was a teacher before, and then I taught food and nutrition. My first role in the United States was coordinating a school food service program and wellness initiative in a charter school in Connecticut. And that's how, I must admit, I took the job just because it was in a school. I didn't know much about what I was getting into. But I quickly realized that food can do more than just nourish your bodies. It brings students together, and coming from a nutrition background, that was important to me. I've also recognized how much it builds community and creates real change in students' lives. So over the years, I've moved from or across states. I've been to several states. I always say that I've traveled the country and learned so much about the culture of school food and the school food system in different regions, gaining valuable experience that I'm using in my day-to-day life in Brookline. I briefly stepped away from school food and went into healthcare. But the true educator that I am, I just could not stay away and went back into school foods. Going back into school food, I entered 2 years prior to COVID, and I'm glad I did prior to COVID because I had the opportunity to um, go on farms. And my first experience on a farm was trying real tomatoes, not tomato that I bought out of a store. And that was an eye-opening experience because it's the freshness and the taste that drew me back. Before, I hated tomatoes because it just tasted weird. And then I got on a real farm. I always say that I went on a farm in stilettos and came off a farm girl, so I'm converted. I'm happy. I've always used that as my motivation because of the experience that I had in the taste, and that is what I bring to my position and my students. That is how I want my students to feel about the food that they eat. I advocate for policies. I want to ensure that we're creating lifelong systems that benefits our students. I joined Brookline Food Services just prior to COVID, and that was also eye-opening because that's when we got tested, and that test fueled my drive into reimagining what school food could look like in a district that truly values students' well-being and innovation. Our food services team, from myself, a director, to our managers and our staff in the cafeteria, is the heartbeat of our program. And together we've created a system that has slowly moved from prepackaged meal and we've embraced fresh, scratch cooked meals that are prepared in each kitchens daily. We also partner with local farmers, and prior to COVID, that was my passion, working in Western Massachusetts, where there were so many farms available. I could easily walk on one. I could have communication with farmers and talk about during the crop planting stage, where we could get them to plant the crops that we know we'll be using in school, which was very helpful to bring our vision and our dream to life. So in Brookline, we have key initiatives that we think about. We talk about equity and access to food, ensuring that every student has a nutritious meal every day. We think that every student deserves that. We think about culture and inclusion. That's creating menus that reflects our students' diverse identities. And as one that has such rich Caribbean heritage, I want to make sure that every student is reflected in the meal that they have. When our we can see the difference when we put cultural or menu items that students from different culture have, and the nostalgia that brings to the program. And lastly, sustainability, using local seasonal ingredients, reducing waste, and teaching students about sustainable practices by sourcing locally. That is our drive. We also connect with local farmers in our community. I wish I could just walk on a farm and Gabriela and get a cow from you or any one of those crops that you guys have available. But that is our mission, to source our foods locally, ensuring that the resources that we're spending in the program goes back to benefit our community. Our broader vision, however, is rooted in food justice, and we aim to build a school food system that nourishes not just the mind, but students' bodies and their identities. We believe that what's on their tray should reflect who they are, and and where they come from. We consider our cafeteria one of the largest, or the largest classroom in our district. And food is also that classroom where students learn through cooking, science, sustainability, and culture. It's important to us for them to understand where their food comes from and the impact that these choices have in the lunchroom. So there are some work that we do in Brookline, and those are hands-on learning and scratch cooked meal. I spoke earlier about transitioning from prepackaged meal to scratch cooking. School lunch is no longer what I experienced when I was growing up. It's completely different. A lot of our food is grown from scratch. Students actively are participating. I wish I had the opportunity to go into a school cafeteria and help cook. I didn't, but now students have that opportunity. They go in and they harvest fresh fruits from the garden or fresh local ingredients that we just got from a farm down the road, and help us prepare that. They learn also where that food comes from and the story behind the farm and the farmers that produces those food. We spoke about Farm to School initiative and our kelp initiative, and this is such a dear product to my heart. It's very local. We've established a farm to school partnerships, and we bring fresh local produce into our cafeteria and teach students about sustainability and regional agriculture. We support our local farmers, our locally grown kelp. We have kelp on our menu. A lot of the times you can find that kelp on our menu um, from just up the road. These and we connect these initiatives with students to the regional food systems. When we do those kind of initiatives, or we're bringing in new products from a farm, we bring in the farmers with them, or the producers, and they come in and they talk about their story. They give the history of the product, how it is grown, how it is harvested, and the people, talk about the people that is working in those systems. We also have our own little farm, which we call it is our hyper local growing, where we've established our farm in our school. We launch a farm that provides social emotional learnings for kids. So we grow our own lettuce. From time to time, you'll see kids coming down, just want to take a break from the busy day that you have at these at the high school. They come in and they engage with us. They learn about our systems. They participate in mindful activities and develop social and emotional skills while connecting to the earth. We feel that it's important for students to make that connection. This program also reinforces how food and learning intersects beyond the cafeteria. For Farm to School, it's the cafeteria, it's the curriculum, and it's also the cafeteria. So there is a continuation of learning that goes on inside in the Farm to School movement. We also focus on our environment, and we've adopted a 50% plan forward menu, where we make 50% of our meals plant-based, and we've committed to a 50% plant-based journey in 2024. I will say that at the end of 2024, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary, and we were at 43%. So almost a half of every item we serve is sustainable, is plant-based. We use that to promote a healthier eating, introducing students to diverse cultural tradition while emphasizing sustainability. And that is also rooted in equity through universal free meals. I was a big proponent of universal free meals in school. And I continue to do that as someone who was food insecure growing up. I know the value of having those, having free school meals, and provide cultural inclusivity. That's important for our students to see meals that they're familiar with reflected on the lunch menu. We continue our sustainability with a zero waste initiative where we implement school-wide composting and reusable program, diverting a lot of waste from our landfill and teaching students how to be responsible students. We create options where instead of dumping real food, we have shared tables where students who may need additional items eat it. And I just presented on a farm mass sustainability webinar with Mass Farm to School, and we shared how much we diverted over 217 tons of waste from landfills. That's almost what 50 something school buses or the Statue of Liberty, who knows? Rooted in our work is addressing food insecurity. And especially at a time like this, we understand the value and the importance it is to address food insecurity in our community. And we partner with a lot of organization in our town. We partner with the food pantry. Through our food rescue program, we participate in the summer meals program, because we know that during the summertime when students are not in school, students who are relying on school meals need to be able to access meals elsewhere. So we open that up to, we have one site that we open up to any student, any kid or teen that is that wants a meal during the summer can access those meals. And we have a school wellness policy that guides all of this. We put all of this in a policy because we know that that is how things continue. That is how we continue things, and initiatives just doesn't die after someone leaves or management changes. Just and to recap, our goal in Brookline is always to provide fresh meals that are sustainable, culturally relevant and inclusive, and support students' social and emotional learning. We really believe, and I always keep telling everyone that I meet, that the cafeteria is the largest classroom in any district. It's where students get valuable education. I don't remember some things in math, like you could ask me about the Pythagoras theorem. I don't know anything about it, but I remember what I ate for lunch or what I didn't get on my school lunch menu. All right, I'll turn it over for questions. I will say that we do have ways that we promote this and market it to our environment. If you look on these photos, there are vendors, local vendors that we bring into the district to showcase their product. We've had some that probably would not come back because they sold so many lunches that day. They're excited to be there, but that's my food service journey in Brookline, and I'm excited to answer any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sasha. I'm so sorry. We're running a little bit short on time, but I'm going to try to fit one question in. So, what can families of recipients of school meals do to support their local school lunch program? And I ask this because my sister is currently in eighth grade.
Oh, so that is participate, participate, participate. Especially in Massachusetts, our funding is, we get our funding through participation. The more students eat, the more funds we get. It's either federal or state fund. Thanks to Massachusetts, they fund. They're covering the difference from the federal government, and that brings us to universal school meals. So the goal is participate, participate.
All right. I will keep reminding her to keep participating. Thank you very much for your time and expertise today.
Thank you.
All right. And again, we want to extend a big thank you once again to all of our guest speakers for sharing their experiences so generously during this third episode of our season. The speakers' contact information shown here on the screen will be included along with a recording and an email sent to you, so please keep an eye out for that. And now we will bring Natalie back in to share a couple of tips with us.
Thanks, Jeffrey. NAPSN can support your job searching activities in several ways, as we've shared on the slide. We also have a jobs board. If folks are not familiar, we're going to drop it in the chat real quick. Right there. Yep. Thank you so much, Aya. So we have a jobs board. If you become a member, we offer members, we have a beautiful sliding scale, because we know folks come from different backgrounds and have different financial means, especially within this industry of food systems, as food systems practitioners. But as members of NAPSN, if you do become one, you get an opportunity to either speak with either me or with another co-director, Kim Hines, for an hour to discuss about some things about your career goals and what you would like to do within the food systems industry as a whole. So feel free to go on our website to check a little bit of what a membership might entail. Check out our jobs boards. As we have here on this slide, these are some of the skills that you would want to incorporate within your job search, either on your resume or when you're having interviews with folks, when you are getting callbacks for jobs. But feel free to reach out to us. Our information is going to be on the slides. You feel more than welcome to either send me a message via LinkedIn or via email, and I would love to chat with anybody who has been with us tonight.
Thank you so much to Natalie and our speakers for these helpful suggestions. To close, we'd like to surprise a participant who attended this live session of Finding Your Future in Food Systems with a complimentary NAPSN membership. Congratulations to Aisha Karmara of New York and Mary Helly of Montana, sorry if I messed that up, for randomly being selected from among 170 registrants to receive a NAPSN annual membership this week. You will also receive a second membership to give to a person of your choice.
And thank you again for joining us tonight. This is the third of 4 episodes for our 9th season. Join us on December 3rd next month for the final episode of our 9th season, featuring Audrey Cool of FarmWise, who is also our season sponsor, Ariel Rivers of the National Association for Conservation Districts, and Thomas Smith of the Kansas City Food Hub. And to conclude, on behalf of our entire productions team here at NAPSN, including Natalie, Kim, Vivian, Allie, Ari, Audrey, Aya, Emily, Wendy, Daniela, Marie, and myself, as well as our special guest co-host of this episode, Tin, we thank you for being here with us this evening and hope to see you again for our final episode of Season 9 in December. And until then, we wish you well.
You've been listening to Finding Your Future in Food Systems, produced by the North American Food Systems Network. To learn more about our professional development opportunities, visit foodsystemsnetwork.org.